the comic genius of Stan Laurel. Hello, it's now more than 50 years since Laurel and Hardy produced their comedies at the Hal Roche studios, and yet their work continues to be shown on television and video all over the world. Their appreciation society, the Sons of the Desert, has an international following with over 5,000 dedicated and flamboyant members in the UK alone. The unique comic partnership which Stan Laurel created with Oliver Hardy, Laurel was the writer on several of their best films, has given the cinema its greatest and most persuasive portrait of friendship, and it's this aspect of their art, perhaps, which has ensured its survival in the affections of the public. Ulverston in Cumbria, the 16th of June, 1990. The Sons of the Desert, the International Laurel and Hardy Appreciation Society, meet to celebrate the centenary of the birth of Arthur Stanley Jefferson, better known to the world as Stan Laurel. Founded by a small group of enthusiasts and taking their name from a 1933 Laurel and Hardy feature, the Sons of the Desert has a broad membership, ranging from fanatical fans to serious film historians. Their devotion to a team of comedians whose film careers ended 50 years ago is a unique testament to the writing and comic talent of Stan Laurel.
Ulverston, Lancashire, and my family were a theatrical family. My dad wrote shows and produced shows and also had a circuit of theaters around the north of England. I didn't have much education. It was my own fault. I had every chance, but I don't know, the spirit of the theater was in me, and it was more glamour.
Stan's idol was George Robey, the leading music hall comedian of the day. Robey's style influenced both Stan and Charles Chaplin, another rising young comic.
I wasn't too successful, however, because I'd had no experience and didn't have any material of any kind. In fact, I hadn't found myself anyway. Didn't know just what kind of a comic I was or anything else, but I was just happy to be in front of the footlights. So I finally drifted into the Fred Carnot Company. That was Carnot's London Comedians. And with the same outfit was Charlie Chaplin. And after about a year, we were booked to come over to America.
Stan, now Chaplin's understudy, joined the 1912 tour. Carnot's comedians already dominated the music halls of England, and the challenge of the huge American vaudeville circuits was irresistible.
We were supposed to rehearse the show coming over on the boat. Well, we had terrible storms. We took 12 days crossing, and everybody was ill, so no rehearsals were ever gotten to, you know, one of those things. So consequently, it was just a big mix-up when we got out there.
The first night in New York, opening night, and he put his shoes out to be shined, European style. Well, in New York City, they stole the shoes. So he had to go on the next night with a white tie and tails and carpet slippers. And it got such a big laugh when he came out there with carpet slippers. He said from that time on, he always went out with carpet slippers, even though he bought a new pair of shoes.
Well, we didn't do the show that we came over with. We picked the one that we were familiar with. That was the Night in an English Music Hall. Mummingbirds, as we call it in England. And the show is a terrific hit.
Well, certainly Carno has a lot to do with the shaping of American film comedy, because Carno was a very important influence in the careers of Charles Chaplin and Stan Laurel. Carno had a peculiar style of comedy which was a combination of knockabout and slapstick and pathos.
The talents of Charles Chaplin were quickly recognized in America, and by Christmas he'd signed a movie contract with the comedy producer Max Sennett. In Hollywood, Chaplin drew heavily upon his music hall connections, as the 98-year-old Hal Roach recalls.
I went to work for S&A making pictures with the English comedians that Chaplin had under salary. And I was introduced to him, and he told me that I had to go on location just before noon. And I said, well, why? That's odd. Why do I have to do that? He says, because I tell you you have to. And I said, that is certainly enough reason for me to do it. Then I found out if he went on location, the company had to pay for lunch for the whole bunch on location. So all these guys, these Englishmen who worked for me, they wanted to eat for free too. So I did what he said. We'd go out and make one scene, then go to the cafeteria, and these English comics would fill a tray so full of food they could hardly carry it. I'm sure they didn't have to eat any dinner when they got through with the luncheon that the studio paid for.
Chaplin's patronage to his old Carno companions did not extend to Stan Jefferson. Deprived of its star, Carno's show had folded, and Stan was left to make his way in vaudeville. A friendly note from Chaplin in Hollywood, "Well, Stan, may our path be a rosy one, your old pal Charles Chaplin," didn't materialize into any practical help.
Chaplin zoomed very quickly to the heights of the profession. Stan remained in vaudeville for 6 or 8 years after that, before trying on various occasions to work here in pictures. It wasn't that he expected help, but it would have been welcomed at that time.
Ironically for Stan, his success on vaudeville derived from his skillful impersonation of Charlie Chaplin. For the next 5 years, as Chaplin's career reached its zenith, Stan Jefferson toured the vaudeville circuits of America, acquiring a series of partners along the way, and a new stage name, Laurel. In 1917, Stan Laurel arrived in Los Angeles, already the movie capital of the world.
Well, I first made a picture for Bronco Billy Anderson. He asked me if I'd ever been in pictures, I had any idea, and I said no. He said, well, he says, how would you like to make some comedies for me? Well, he had a director with him at that time called Jess Robbins. So Anderson called him up and said, I got a new comic, I want you to make this pilot picture with him. So he brought his cameraman over to direct this